Customs that I just recently finished. We're going to cover one of those today, and that is what you're looking at is Nightwing. I finally came back and made another DC custom as well as making another male custom. It's been a very long time since I've done either of those things, and I mentioned before that I've been wanting to make Nightwing for a long time, and I've had the buck for it just sitting next to my TV waiting for me to just go ahead and use it and make the Nightwing for about 2 years now. And I finally got it together and went ahead and made him. He didn't even take very long. He wasn't very complicated, but I will go over all of that with you today. And as you can see, he is posed out on a figure stand. We're trying things a little bit differently with the video content, as well as with photography, the stuff that I take pictures of, so on, posting on social media. Normally I would just have them standing there in a very vanilla pose, but I have one spare figure stand laying about, and I was going to use it for a figure, but I'm like, well, I'm going to keep ordering them anyway, and I did just put an order through, but I really need this one, so I'm just going to have this one be used for my videos and for my photography, so that way all the figures don't look so bland, and I can actually pose them and stuff like that, and kind of show off some of the features instead of them looking kind of ugly. But and by say ugly, I mean just kind of vanilla. But I got him just wrapped around the leg. He's kind of doing a backflip or something like that. I think it looks decent. I'm not sure if I'm going to have him pose like this on the shelf. Probably not. But yeah, there's a full 360 of Nightwing here. We're going to go over what parts and what buck this is and how this came to be. I won't get into too many specifics. I'm not going to show you what I painted or anything like that, but just tell you basically what you need to do to achieve this. Now, it is a mostly black buck. I will go ahead and say that much. In fact, the entire buck is, with a small exception, the entire thing is the black suited Johnny Storm, the Fantastic Four figure, the ones where they are black and blue, mostly black. For obvious reasons, using a mostly black figure is a good idea when you're making a character custom that's mostly black, because I mostly didn't take this apart. So normally, I don't like doing male figures because you have to crack torsos and paint the insides and do all that fancy stuff, and in this case I didn't have to because it's already black. Now, it is full discretion, it is painted. I did paint all of the surface area, I just didn't paint the inside. So where it swivels and the hip, or the inside of the figures inside there, the elbows and stuff like that, I didn't paint those, but just the outside. And I did that mostly because once you removed all of the Fantastic Four symbol and the blue stuff that's on there, this still leaves a little bit of residue. And also I want the black to be consistent throughout the whole figure, and the only way to do that is to paint the entire thing. But secondly, again, it is mostly a Johnny Storm Fantastic Four buck, but one odd thing about that, the Fantastic Four has very unique shoes for that line of costumes. They have this pleated shoe on it, and you could use that if you really wanted to on Nightwing. I think it would be okay, but it's just not what I wanted, and I don't really like those shoes. So these are kind of like your standard looking Bucky cap shoes. That's what they I think that's what they originally were used on, the Bucky cap, and it's from the Bucky cap mold. That being said, those, if you were to take shoes like this and just put them on the Johnny Storm buck as is, they would not fit. They actually don't fit. You can't just do a straight up swap. For whatever reason, the pins are just different and it doesn't work. So you can't do that. I also tried only doing the lower leg from, you know, the swivel down and replacing that part on the Johnny Storm, and that also didn't work out all that well because it's not the same. So long story short, I'm just saying it didn't work out, but what I ended up doing is taking, and it wasn't this figure in particular, but I did use parts of this, so we'll talk about him. It wasn't this figure in particular, but this is a Bucky cap style body. I took the entire lower leg, so the lower calf swivel and the upper calf swivel off of a different figure, and it was a Shocker. The Shocker figure, the first one that Hasbro made a while back, not the newer one, but the older one. That's on a Bucky cap mold, and I took that and replaced the lower legs off of the Johnny Storm. So all of this from, not the knee, I kept the knee, but from the calf down is from that Shocker figure. Removed all the paint, sanded it, and painted it black. And then again, I wanted all of the black to match, so painted the entire figure black and had a satin finish on it, so it has a little bit of sheen to it. Now, that being said, yeah, everything else is black, and painted black, and then we have our blue on the inside. So I didn't take any of this apart at all. I didn't heat anything up. I didn't do any extensive sanding. The only thing I did was in the ab area and the torso. I did Dremel that a little bit just so on the ab crunch it doesn't rub nearly as much, and it's fine. And then that's it. I just did standard sanding, I guess, like the neck joint as well. I Dremeled that down because it's painted flesh tone. But all of this painted on the inside, like the butterfly joints here, is just standard sanding, like with sandpaper. It doesn't actually make contact, or at least not very much at all. So I didn't have to worry about that. The only place of concern would be here on the shoulder, on both sides. I did Dremel that bit down to make that smaller a little, so it doesn't rub when you lift up the shoulder. So that's about it. Everything else, again, just painted with the pins in there, so it's all painted on this side blue, and on the underside it's painted with the black. So there's no paint rub there or any worries about any of that. Now let's get him out of this so I can do some more real talking here. But yeah, he doesn't have any paint rub, or at least not much. He doesn't have it in the knees because it's all not painted, and yeah, he's doing all right. Just gotta get his foot together there. All right, so for Nightwing, the only real weapons that he has or accessories are these batons, and I really enjoy these batons. I was thinking about painting them black and then having these little highlights there to be blue, but for most of the reference pictures that I saw of Nightwing, I say about half the time his batons were literally exactly this color and this style and everything, and some other times they were different, but for the sake of not having paint rub, and it's actually accurate, I just left them the same. And these batons specifically came from Mockingbird. So continues, the cars going by really loud. In particular, those batons came from Mockingbird. So Again, they come straight up that color, straight from Mockingbird. You don't have to worry about painting or doing anything like that. You can get batons from off of Daredevil as well. I think there's another character that might have batons, but Mockingbirds are that color, so that's all you really need. And again, the head sculpt is indeed a Johnny Storm head, so this is not anything special or different. It is indeed the head of Johnny Storm, if he ever wants to focus. But yeah, it is this head, and yeah, I removed the hair from off of it. And one thing that is a feature is, yeah, this was the only really difficult thing, was sculpting the mask on his face and then sculpting his hair. So his hair is 100% sculpted by me, epoxy sculpt. It is hard sculpted on. I didn't do a perfect job, but this was one of those times where I really was experimenting and did my best to learn. And I was experimenting with layers. So I put on, one layer of epoxy sculpt just kind of flat on his head, and then use a knife to cut down a little bit of depth in there. You can see just the bottom part, and then went back and took some strips of epoxy sculpt and did this second layer on the bottom, and each individual one is just on top of that first layer of epoxy sculpt. And then did a third layer right here, that's this top part right here, more strips, and just have it going straight from, just kind of slicking backwards. And then lastly took a big old chunk of epoxy sculpt and laid it going across, you can't see because of my finger, but laid it here, and then went straight down, and then cut in the hair individually with a knife. It turned out pretty decent. And then lastly, these little flicks of hair that are flailing off the side of his face, that's still epoxy sculpt, so it is hard, and hopefully he'll never fall, because if he falls on his face, that can and probably will break. It won't be the biggest deal in the world if it breaks, because I can refix it, and because it's just black hair. But for what it's worth, I wouldn't encourage people to do this with hard sculpt, but it worked out okay, and hopefully it won't break. Again, the mask is sculpted on with same epoxy sculpt, and I just cut it out, painted his eyes white, and yeah, that's about it. As far as his hands go, that I would say that, yeah, the Johnny Storm buck does come with actually fists, so I do have 2 fists that I painted just as alternate hands, just in case I want him punching instead of holding his batons. The other hands that are open hands are from this Deadpool, so that's why I was holding him. One of his hands is a black one, and the other one is a red one. I believe this is the black one, and this is the red one, so I had to fully paint that one black and blue, and the other one was already mostly black anyway, so I had to worry about that very much. Lastly, if you really are dead set on doing this exactly the same way, or maybe you don't have to use the same head sculpt, but it's kind of hard to get that Johnny Storm body. I can imagine the price is a little up there, but what you're looking for is just a mostly black body. Here's a really good substitute for that. You can use Havoc. It's the exact same body, so you don't have to worry about any of that other stuff. Is actually more black than the well, I should say more black spots on it than the Johnny Storm, because the only thing you'd have to remove is the thing on his chest, where Johnny had more blue spots all over his arms and legs and chest and stomach. But yeah, you can use the Havoc body and then just find a head that you like, whether it's Johnny Storm or some other character, and then do it. But I really like Johnny Storm's face in particular for Nightwing, and I think it just works. I think they have like the same kind of face structure. The only other thing is feet. He has these flat, weird feet thing boots. Not quite what these are, but that's up to you if you want to make that change. Like I said, I had to end up swapping the whole lower leg for that, but other than that, it's functional with the Havoc body if you really wanted to go in that direction. Alright, let's do some quick comparisons and then we can get out of here. Alright, so a quick DC figure custom comparison. We have our crooked legs Batgirl. That's actually, you know, I didn't even put two and two together until I just realized, yeah, that's Oracle, all right. Oops, I did not make that a joke intentionally. And Batman. So this is what happens when you neglect your figures. I made these years ago. Her legs are crooked because she's been standing, well, not really standing, but you know, just over time, figures, you know, warped plastic and all that stuff. But I never fixed it because it's sitting on this high up shelf above my bed, and I just never cared to fix her legs. All I have to do is heat them up and then let them do the thing, and then they'll straighten out. But I never cared to do it, and it just got worse and worse over time. So it took me about 5 minutes to clean these off, these two, because they were so dusty. Like Batman in particular was disgusting. Tons of dust on him. So that took like 5 minutes, and then another 5-10 minutes trying to get Batgirl's legs to straighten up enough just so she can stand up for this video. So that being said, clearly my best DC custom, even though over the other ones that I've made, Superman and Power Girl and Wonder Woman, this is my best one. It was super simple and easy, and that's probably why, but also years of improving and getting better at making customs and painting and using better materials and yada yada. That being said, I don't have any plans on remaking Batman. I actually still like him. I do have issues with him, in particular the head. You know, I really wish I could redo that with my modern sensibilities. And there she goes. But I really love his chest. I love how I did the bat symbol and how that came out. I just don't want Mod Podge on him. That's the real reason I want to redo it. But I really don't have the heart to make more male figures like that. I will put in full effort to remake female characters. Male figures, not so much. But we'll see. Maybe one day I'll just get bored and just decide to redo Batman anyway, and make him even better. I also really like the cape on this Batman. As far as Batgirl goes, she's definitely getting remade. So one is because, you know, you see her legs are all messed up, so I need to fix that. But two, I really wanted to, like, since then I've changed my philosophy on how to make female characters and like how they scale and what parts to use and stuff. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. There we go. That's good enough. I've changed my philosophy on that a lot. Again, this is like from 2020 when I made this, I'm pretty sure. So things have changed, and I already have a build in mind for characters that are literally her height and weight, which is about 5'7" and 135 pounds. That's literally her weight and her height, plus Catwoman and Black Widow. All three of them will end up having the exact same body mold and body builds and stuff like that. When I get to them, I'm not going to be doing Batgirl right now, not this year, but I am going to be working on Black Widow, Batgirl, and Catwoman. New builds for all three of them, and it should be a little bit more solid, longer torsos, more muscles, and stuff like that. It'll look a lot nicer, hopefully, and then I'll fix a lot of the issues that I've had with all of my customs that I just mentioned. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I can't wait to see what those turn out to be. In the meantime, I do have another custom DC character that I will be working on very shortly, and she will be up very soon. Like, she's literally my next work in progress. As far as my next video, I'm about to film it right now. I have another custom that I've already finished, so you should be seeing a new video in your feeds relatively soon of another character that's not DC related. It's going back to X-Men lore, so make sure you hit the like button on this video, subscribe so you can see the next video if you're not already subscribed, and like I said, I will be making a new DC character pretty soon, so you'll be getting that content on the way, as you know, along with more customs and stuff. And there goes Batgirl. So yeah, I gotta fix that. I will work on that. So make sure you guys subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Peace.